Mitch Horowitz has got a new book out on Magick. Is it any good? Welcome back to my channel, The Right Side of Mad, where I like to talk about the workings of the universe. Are you interested in that? If you are, hit subscribe, hit like, and the notification bell. It will let you know when there's a new video coming. On this video, I'm looking at the brand new book from Mitch Horowitz. Practical Magic, Ancient Tradition and Modern Practice. It's 4 days old. I've already burned through it once. I'm going back through it again. Mitch Horowitz is one of my favourite authors. I've read pretty much every word he's ever written. I've got pretty much all of his books. I'm only missing a couple. And his latest dropped not 4 days ago. I've got it on my Kindle. I've got the Kindle version. I haven't got a print copy to show you. I got it on digital because I was away at the time and I burned through it in a day. I absolutely devoured this book because I loved it so much. I love all of Mitch Horowitz's books, but some of them I've read and I'll never read again. Others I'll refer to. This one has gone straight into my little pile of books you're constantly going to go back to. It's an exploration of the practice of magic, but delivered in an incredibly clear way. Mitch Horowitz writes books on these matters. He writes on New Thought. He writes an awful lot about Neville Goddard. He also writes about occultism. The books are readable, wonderful, but also very practical. He's got this ability to strip an awful lot of the fluff out of it. You know, a lot of the nonsense, and get to the core of a thing. The bit that essentially works, the bit that's actually interesting, and cut away a lot of the chaff. He's done that here with the practice of magic, and he has done it beautifully. It means to me the approach is very much, let's get to the heart of the matter. Let's strip away all the performance and just get to the bit that actually works, and then go into that. What is that? How is that? And he's done it. He's gone through different aspects of the practice of magic, and it's simultaneously very accessible, very practical, very stripped down, but also very inclusive. He's not left much out. You know, you get an awful lot out of this book. I would go as far as to say that if you came to me and said to me, Danny, I want to get into this stuff, this is the book I would point you at. This is the book I would point at. This and the new Alan Moore book, those two together, you pretty much covered all your bases in terms of actually getting on with the thing. Any further research you want to do, you can do, but those two books, and you're in. Particularly this one, because this one is very, very practical. It's very hands-on. There's stuff to do, and there's explanations into how it works. He also gives you some of the history of magic. There's a chapter on... Chapter 2 is a brief history of magic. It's very interesting, compacts an awful lot into a chapter, and it's enough, you know, it's great, really great. He does go into topics he's covered before elsewhere. You know, there's a little bit of a different spin, like sex transmutation's one of his things. From Think and Go Rich, he goes into that in quite a lot of detail in some of his other books, and he does mention it again here. You've got a chapter on sigil work. That's really interesting. I am well aware that most viewers on this channel have come here via the route of that sigil magic video that I did during the lockdown. He's got a chapter on sigil magic in this book that will get you going with that, explain how it works. Talks about Austin Osman's Spare, who fascinates me, by the way, and actually tipped me off to a book that I've just got. And he talks about Austin Osman's Spare in here, whose name doesn't really crop up in books that are of this nature. This is one of those books that sort of crosses the divide between dusty book you find in an occult bookstore and nowhere else, and book you'll find on the shelf in Waterstones. It's one of those. And Austin Osman's Spare doesn't appear too often in the ones that you get in Waterstones. I'm a massive fan of Austin Osman's Spare and his work. Incomprehensible, though. Very difficult man to read, but in this book, Mitch Horowitz breaks it down, makes it entirely practical, pretty much gives you everything you need to know about Austin Osman's Spare. Not everything that there is to know, but everything that you need to know. In fact, that's pretty much true of every chapter. Every chapter in this book, you get what you need to know to be getting on with the thing. And it's magnificent for that. He goes into William Burroughs' cut-ups. The cut-up process, there's a chapter on that, something else that I've played with. I don't care for it, it's not my way, but I do get it, and I love the idea of it, and for the right person, this is a path, you know, and he gives you enough to get you going on that. There's a chapter on tarot that I wish I had 2 years ago when I started studying that in depth, because it, again, gets you going, boils it down to its essentials, how to do a very simple spread, and more importantly, how to read it from the point of view of a person, not like someone sitting there with all the candles and the thing and a real complicated kind of layout of cards that seems to contradict each other, and you sort of leave the reading thinking, well, I've heard an awful lot of words, but I'm not much clearer. He's got it down to bang, 3 cards, there you go, get on. Brilliant chapter on the tarot, very, very well rewarding. And he has a concept that he calls anarchic magic, which is kind of his take on the whole chaos magic thing. It's his personal path, his way of approaching the thing. He talks about that in this book. Absolutely superb. Very, very, very close to how I myself approached the thing. In fact, I'll even go as far as, you know, when you're reading a book and it's the book you wish you'd written. In fact, in this case, the book I was even thinking about writing, I'm trying to come up with some idea for a book at the moment. One of my ideas was this, but I didn't feel qualified because I'm not. He is, and he has, and it's brilliant, and it's here, and it exists. And you could argue that I was thinking about the book that I wanted and manifested this one through the laws of causality. And there's an argument for that. We're all manifesting all the time, bouncing off each other. And it all kind of works out in this chaos hodgepodge of a simulation we find ourselves trapped in. And it is a simulation. I'm going to tell you another fascinating chapter in this book that really appealed to me as a concept. It's something that I've been discussing a lot with a friend of mine recently. The idea of backwards causation, retrocausation, the idea that what you do now somehow affects the past. There's some science to back this up, proper science too, not malarkey science. I mean, genuinely, people are looking at this now at the level of Wall Street. And I'm not making this up. This is not conspiracy tin hat time. This people are actually looking at this. The idea that you can somehow send something back to help you then. I've got a very interesting video that kind of illustrates that. It'll be the next one that drops about the beach. So look out for that. If you don't want to miss it, hit the bell. But it's an interesting concept. Time gets a little bit malleable when you start to really look at it, and he's got a great chapter on that in this book that's really good. It's one of my favourite chapters in the whole thing. I love the whole thing. I'm going to reread this. I love this particular book, but that chapter in particular, I'll be delving into that. So essentially, he's taken a really deep look at ritual magic, chaos magic, just the practice of magic through the centuries, and he's got it all down to one book that's got unbelievable practicality, ease of execution. He's taken out all the complexity. You can understand it as a beginner, you can understand it. As a seasoned practitioner, you can appreciate it, you know? Yeah, this book's for everyone. Some books you read them some books you read and you go, this is for someone who's on the green and knows what they're doing already. Some books you read and go, well, this is great, but, you already know what's in it, so there's no point. But this is not arrogance. I've got a massive library. I've put in a 30 plus year shift. I know about everything in this book, and I still enjoyed reading it, and I will read it again. And I'll probably read it more than some of the other ones that I've studied, That's how good it is. It's absolutely great. I cannot recommend it enough. It's available now. If you're interested in these matters, get on it. And then look at his other titles as well. He's got so many titles. Not every title's for everybody. Daydream Believer's another one I've recommended in the past. They're great. He's great. And I like the man. I like the man. I like the way he lives his life. I like the way he conducts himself. He lives his stuff. He talks his stuff. He's smart. He's interesting. He's great. He strikes me as he would be great crack to hang out with. I've never met him. We do have mutual friends, and I have corresponded with him once. That was the thing. He did say in one of his books, I respond to every message that I receive. So I sent him a message saying that I love the book and thanks for writing it. And he did respond, but he responded with 3 emojis. Like a fist of fire and a thing. Do you know what I mean? So, yes, technically I did get a response, but it was a proper, just scrolling through. Yeah. It wasn't like personal contact. I can't claim that, but there you go. He kept his promise. He keeps his word. And I do like that about him as well. Well worth a read. All of his stuff is worth investigating. If you like, I'll do some reviews of his other books. I've got them all. That's all for today from the right side of Mad. But coming up in the week, it's going to be the next video where I'm going to talk a little bit more about retrocausality. And this is an interesting one. I'll tell you this because you've made it to the end of the video, which puts you in basically 1% of my viewers. The video that I made is sort of about retrocausality. You'll see when you watch it. And I made it last week when I was away. I was away in the Caribbean. And it's odd because I'm talking about retrocausality in that video, and then this book comes out, and then I'm thinking about retrocausality, and it kind of all It was one of those little moments, a little bit of synchronicity there, a little bit of, all right, a little bit of the universe winking. You'll see what I mean when you watch it, if you've watched this far and if you do watch the next one. But until that drops later in the week, all the best from the right side of Mad, and I will see you on the next video.